I was right. Oh my god, I was right. I was right in ways I didn't even know. I was right. Holy cow. Sorry. This intro is being recorded right after I sprinted in the door from being out at lunch with my partner. And oh my god, I was right about so many of these bands. Let's hop right into things. Alright, let's tone things down after me yelling in that intro after sprinting in the door. Cori-steel is banned, Abuelo's Awakening is banned, Monstrous Rage is banned, Heartfire Hero is banned, Up the Beanstalk is banned, Hopeless Nightmare is banned, and This Town Ain't Big Enough is banned. Holy cow, is that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cards banned in Stanton in one fell swoop, completely opening up the format to different decks existing. I am terrified, I am excited, this is really cool. Let's talk about things. I'll start by talking about these red cards here, this Cori-steel, this Monstrous Awakening, and Heartfire Hero. Cori-steel just basically murders Is It Prowess in its sleep? Positive connotation. Is It Prowess is a deck that will probably still exist and probably be very strong. It'll just shift to more of a mid-range pile with VV and with other spells. Cori-steel getting banned took the deck from being completely dominant and being hard to deal with in every sense of the word to down a tier, and now spot removal will be helpful. Spot removal will be good, and you won't have to always run a Braid in your main deck, which is going to be a really nice change. Good card, still a Braid, but you don't have to anymore. Monstrous Rage getting banned. Oh my god, blocking exists again. The reason Monstrous Rage felt so oppressive to me, myself, and a lot of others is Monstrous Rage made blocking feel like it was a foregone conclusion of you were taking damage anyways. Why bother? Blocking is useless, they're getting trample, they're getting +1/+1, let's just kill the creature instead in response. This thing being gone makes blocking real again, it makes stuff not constantly have trample and be problem children, and it just makes the game a little more interesting in my opinion. Blocking and sacking is now an option, just chump blocking is more of an option again. It's really, really nice. And Heartfire Hero getting banned, I feel like this card is the victim. Manifold Mouse is the one who committed the crimes. I do not hate the banning of Heartfire Hero. This card is incredibly powerful, and it basically shut down control decks because their removal that isn't exiling removal basically doesn't work on this guy, and forced Lightning Helix to be the removal of choice for control decks, because otherwise you're taking the damage back to your face anyways. It was really the biggest problem when you could play it on turn 1 and then turn 2 a Manifold Mouse turn into a 2/2 double striker that when it dies, hits your opponent in the face for 2 anyways. I get why it's banned. I might have preferred a Manifold Mouse banning, but I completely understand, and I do support the banning of Heartfire Hero, especially when a lot of the other cards around it, say the deck that involved Heartfire Hero plus Callous Sellsword, or whatever the Phyrexian Scamp card is plus Callous Sellsword, where you just get it to 10 power, swing, don't care if it hits or not, fling it at face so that it double triggers, 10 to face, and then 10 from its death trigger. I do appreciate them removing that, especially as we're going into basically a new format come fall because of all of the cards that are rotating. Abuelo's Awakening is a little surprising to me as a ban. I don't hate it. I think Abuelo's Awakening getting banned makes it so that, yes, it cannot just be blue-white control, reanimate Omniscience is the deck. There are plenty of ways to reanimate Omniscience still. One that I think of all the time is Squirming Emergence. There's probably about to be a Sultai version of this reanimation style deck that uses Squirming Emergence, but it is a bit of a slower card because you need, I believe, 10 or 11 cards in the graveyard first before you can do it, and that makes you susceptible to mill, and your game plan's a little slower, and it's not quite as strong, but that's probably what the decks are going to shift to if they want to do Omni combo instead of this Abuelo's Awakening plan. However, I do not hate the Abuelo's Awakening ban. I would have preferred it not get banned because of all the cool new summon cards it can really do some fun stuff with, right? Because they are a non-aura enchantment card. But we take what we can get. We love the hit to Omniscience. We love the fact that there is a deck in the format that is getting hit because it was solitaire.deck. We like Wizards paying attention to stuff. This is really great. Hopeless Nightmare in This Town, I'm going to talk about at the same time here. I am shocked beyond belief, honestly, to see Hopeless Nightmare banned. I am unbelievably happy to see a Hopeless Nightmare banned because I don't think most people liked the gameplay loop of turn 1, Hopeless Nightmare. Hopeless Nightmare. Good job, Felt. We're doing these live. We don't care. Turn 1, Hopeless Nightmare. You discard and lose 2 life. Turn 2, untap. Pixie, pick up Hopeless Nightmare. Another Hopeless Nightmare. You lose 2 and 2 cards. So by turn 2 of your opponent, you've lost 2 cards and 4 life, and they have a 2/2 flyer that you have to answer somehow. I'm happy to see it gone. This doesn't immediately murder Esper, Pixie, Esper self-bounce style decks. I just think that they're going to go to a different route. They need to find better one-drops now. They need to find more efficient hand hate and removal, because Momentum Breaker, only hitting creatures as well as hands, means that, yeah, it's going to be good, but you're more often than not going to be using it to remove stuff instead of hitting hands. I don't think the deck's dead. I do think this town is enough to put a second nail in that coffin, so to speak. But this card needed it. If this card didn't get banned, it was going to start ruling the format. It was going to be incredibly powerful. It was going to make it so that the blue self-bounce decks involving like Fear of Missing Out and Storm Chaser's Talent were just going to keep doing their insane loops in the late game, making it impossible for you to resolve stuff and keep coming at them. I really support the banning of these two cards. I think that Esper Pixie was a nightmare to play against from a gameplay perspective, and I think the deck was really dominant when it was powerful, and getting rid of the Omni combo deck and the mono red deck and the Is It Prowess's deck's strongest cards means that Esper Pixie was going to go, ooh, it's my turn to shine, but they kind of already put the kibosh on that. I like it. I'm personally a fan of it. I understand that some people probably will not be happy about this, but I think this is great for the format and opens up so many choices to how you play the game again. Oh my god, the Beanstalks, god, we're so happy! This card was insane. I was having a conversation with a friend the other day, really deep in-depth conversation with them, talking about why Up the Beanstalk became a problem card when, despite the fact that it came out in Wilds of Eldraine, basically 2 full years ago at this point, I know you've aged now after hearing that, but it's fine, it wasn't a problem. It wasn't even really close to a problem until this town came out, and people were like, oh, that's an expensive spell that can be cast for cheaper and trigger beans. It works really well with Tolarian Terror. And then Eddie Mark Crab came out and was like, Beans Crab Terror with this town. I'm drawing so many cards. And then, in the fall, winter of last year, Duskmourn launched with all the impending Overlords, and Up the Beanstalk went from being really good to, oh my god, this card is insane. Hitting the Overlords deck when they're about to lose some really powerful cards out of them, namely Zur from the Overlords deck, makes me really happy. It means that the Yuna archetype, the Yuna reanimate all the Overlords archetype, is probably still going to exist strong and be powerful, but they won't have the ability to use Ride's End and Leyline Binding as card draw spells. Though I guess, to be fair, Leyline Binding is getting phased out with the rotation, but that's beside the point. Yuna won't draw cards, the Overlords won't draw cards, Ride's End won't draw cards. This does kind of shut down some of those decks from existing in a good way, because those decks would absolutely dominate the format if left unchecked. We love to see it. By we, I mean me. Welcome to my ending part of my basically live reaction to, oh my god, they actually banned all the cards I wanted them to. I hope you understand my intro now of, oh my god, I called so much of this. I absolutely thought Monstrous Rage and cori-steel were on the chopping block. I thought Up the Beanstalk and this town were on the chopping block. I thought part of Omniscience combo was on the chopping block. I'm a little surprised at Heartfire Hero, but I'm not mad. I think basically the only card that I didn't call getting the chopping block was Unholy Annex, and that's because that card didn't really deserve a ban anyway. Hopeless Nightmare did surprise me a little bit, but in my personal video about the bannings, I talked a lot about how Pixie is really strong right now and how it's going to cause problems if it's left unchecked, and so I'm really happy to see that. I mean this with a lot of love, Wizards. For once, the Wizards ban team was looking to the future. Sometimes your bans are a little short-sighted, guys. I get it. You want to sell product, but man, please look forwards to the future when you're banning sometimes. Also, this is absolutely the fault of their own, because a lot of these cards should have already rotated by now, and we wouldn't be having this problem anyways if we didn't have this 2-year rotation of Standard, but that's a different conversation. I'm just getting this video by saying I'm so excited for the future of Standard, especially considering one of my personal favorite decks, Jeskai Oculus, isn't really getting hit by this, which means that I am going to continue diving deep into building that deck in paper, and I'm really excited for that because so many of its cards get left unchecked. Do I think this is the death of a lot of these archetypes of decks? No, not at all. I think a lot of these decks will be totally fine. I think they will recover from this just fine. I think there will be a new Omniscience shell. Mono red aggro will still exist, just in a different form. I think Is It Prowess is just going to pivot into more of a VV combo deck than anything. I think that the Yuna Overlord decks will still exist. I think that the Pixie decks will probably still exist, just a bit differently. I think people will still try and make them exist anyways. I'm mostly just excited for the future of Standard after this, and I'm really happy to see so many stuff were banned. Thanks for watching. I hope you like this video. I hope you appreciate all the stuff. I hope to catch you in the next one.